Thank you for staying. Time now for the news. And in our first story, children below 18 can no longer be in control of canoes in the Fana community after 9 children drowned in a boat accident there last week. This directive by the Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Quarter is one of other measures taken to avert another disaster. After it emerged, the person rowing them was under 16 years old. Mr. Quarter led a delegation of government officials and security officials to mourn with family members as they bid farewell to their deceased relatives.
It was a somber mood when the Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Quarter arrived in Fana, the fishing community hit by tragedy. Grieving families, leaders and residents had gathered to receive him. Mr. Quarter, equally pained by the incident, had led a delegation of police officers, NADMO officials and representatives from the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council, not only to hear the account of the incident, but to also commiserate with the families.
We are here, first of all, to commiserate with you and also to assess the situation for ourselves. And then we will also tell you how we intend to go about it.
With the consent of the grieving families, a decision to bury the deceased children on Sunday was sealed to respect the ban on drumming and dancing, which starts on Monday.
Once the ban on drumming and noise making starts, you are not allowed to bury. And so the Ghana police made it known to us that when situations or tragedies of this nature occurs, the states, being the security agencies, will perform the autopsy and other investigations, and they determine whether to release the body or bodies to the families. In this case, the police tells us that they have been able to do that. Now, they asked the parents whether they consent for the children to be given a befitting burial before Monday. And indeed, as you heard, I mentioned their names one by one, identified their parents, and all of them, not under duress, and I repeat, not under duress, have willingly consented that their children be buried on Sunday.
A canoe and life jackets will be provided for the children to avert another disaster.
We have cautioned them that the canoes will not be used for fishing. And again, it cannot be owned by anybody. It is going to be managed by the 2 assemblies, but the assemblyman will be in charge of the day-to-day management of it. Again, going forward, in fact, we'll be bringing them some life jackets. Once we deliver the life jackets to them, the security and intelligence agencies, as part of the directives I've given them, to come out with recommendations. The terms of reference will be the suitability of the area for habitation, the amenities that they need here, because indeed, they are all Ghanaians. And everybody deserves good infrastructure, good amenities to be able to live comfortably in an environment.
An ad hoc committee has also been set up to come up with solutions to other concerns of the community and report back in 2 weeks. For Joy News, Mami AC Nyameche Thompson.
Well, from there, former President John Dramani Mahama has reiterated some policies he has asked the Ghanaians to hold him accountable to should he fail to execute if he wins the 2024 elections. Addressing members of the NDC at his post-flag bearership acceptance speech held in Tamale, Mr. Mahama said the next NDC government would restore a stable, inclusive growth of the economy and rejuvenate the banking sector.
The post-flag bearership acceptance speech event, which was held in Tamale brought together high-profile dignitaries of the NDC across the country. They included former government ministers, members of parliament, chiefs, among others. Speaking at the event, the NDC flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, said he wants Ghanaians to remember these policies and hold him accountable.
I want to reiterate some of the other commitments I made to the people of Ghana on the campaign tour. I want you to remember them so that you can hold me accountable when I come into office. I will keep these promises when I assume office on January 7, 2025, God willing. We will restore stability and inclusive growth in the economy, and we shall rejuvenate the almost collapsed banks and the financial sector. And this will involve sweeping reforms at the Bank of Ghana because the central bank itself has been a part of creating this problem. I'll create a foundation that will ensure that Ghana will never suffer such a deadly debt management program that threatens to send our elderly people holding government bonds to an early grave and wipe out the investments of the Ghanaian middle class. I'll prioritize local participation in the banking, financial, telecoms, mining, oil and gas, agriculture, manufacturing and construction sectors to generate more jobs for our youth. The Ghanaian young men and women we interact with on a daily basis and their colleagues in other African countries are simply tired of the jobless GDP figures. We will actively attract viable and serious private sector investors to partner government to invest in the productive sectors of this country for more jobs to be created. I will advocate strongly the return of investors who have left because of the poor management of this economy by NPP. This will involve an emphasis on agriculture and agribusiness and will have a strong focus on making Ghanaians own their own micro-enterprises. I'll complete abandoned and ongoing projects instead of rushing to start new ones. We will carry out an inventory of all hospitals, schools, electrification, water and road projects which have stalled or been abandoned, and we will make an annual budgetary allocation for their completion. And as I said already, I'll run the leaders but most efficient government under the Fourth Republic by appointing not more than 60 ministers and deputy ministers. And I said already, I will work to abolish the payment of ex-gratia and cut out waste and ostentation in government. We shall work with Parliament and all stakeholders to complete the constitutional review process and strengthen the separation of powers. Government procurement is recognized as a major source of corruption and misappropriation of public funds. We will therefore, among other measures, set up an independent value for money office to scrutinize all government procurements that are above a $5 million threshold or as shall be recommended by Parliament. I will give anti-corruption state institutions unfettered space to operate. The days of the clearing agents must come to an end on January 7, 2025. I'll also set up a commission of inquiry to investigate the matter of looted and stolen state lands. And the same commission will make recommendations for resolving the vexed issue of expropriated Gardambe lands.
Mr. Mahama said they would ensure a speedy investigation into the death of investigative journalist Ahmed Swali.
And to deepen our democracy, the fourth estate of the realm, the media must also be given a conducive and collaborative atmosphere to operate as the fourth power that they ought to be without threats, harassment, and assassinations. In this regard, we shall speed up the investigation of the assassination of Ahmed Swali.
and the perpetrators shall surely be brought to book.
He called on all to rally behind the NDC to help the party recapture power to save the country, Ghana.
But first, we must win the elections in 2024. And that will require from all of us hard work and winning the trust of the people of Ghana. The NDC and Ghana's interests must therefore continue to guide and bind us all together as one people from one great family.
Well, the politics of insults and abuse is preventing women from active participation in politics. This is according to Jean-Marie Formadi, the parliamentary candidate-elect for Biakoye constituency. Sharing her experiences after beating the incumbent Kwejo Aboagye Nyampong with over 200 votes, she said it took determination to contain some of this abuse to win the election. Jean-Marie was speaking to OT regional correspondent Peter Senu.
Jean-Marie Formadi, also called Lady JM, pulled 490 votes to beat incumbent engineer Kwejo Aboagye Nyampong, who obtained 258 votes, a difference of 232 votes. According to her, women are better at managing affairs, hence the reason to entrust more responsibilities into their care.
I would have wished that we have more women in parliament, because women are doing marvelously well. It is hard for you to see a woman going into parliament for only one term, and that person is changed. Sometimes 2, 3, 4, unless, before that person will be changed. So it means they are doing a good job. And I believe that wherever there are women are very careful in what they do.
She says women representation in frontline politics in the region is not enough. She has, however, attributed the low participation to abuse and insult to women who venture into politics.
I'm not in parliament yet, but I know I'll get there. That's how I put it that way. Honorable Adjoa Ntoso has been the only female MP in the region. And if you look at, we have 8 constituencies in OT region. We are yet to get the 9th one. I don't blame we the women. If I tell you what I went through to win this battle, the things that people were saying. Okay, some were saying that this constituency cannot be handled by a woman. This constituency cannot be handled by a woman. So they should give it to the men. But that one alone is, I don't take that as, but the words that I don't want to even repeat, because you are a woman, what someone will say about you because of politics. If you don't take care, you would never do politics as a woman. And then the mentality that if you are a woman and you are going into politics, even if you raise resources, they ask questions about it. Why did she get the money? Where did she get the money? Where are the men getting the money? It's not the same place that women are also getting the money. But they see everything wrong with where a woman is getting money to do politics, but nothing wrong with where a man gets the money to do politics.
To break this trend, the professional teacher turned lawyer and entrepreneur says male chauvinists especially must desist from this act.
So we plead with the men for them to do clean campaigns. It's not because of politics that you use certain words to demean women. As they are doing that, I don't take it as they demeaning me, but demeaning women, because it could be someone else. So I'll plead with them that politics shouldn't be dirty.
Peter Senu for Joy News.
Now, the co-chairperson of the National Action Plan Steering Committee, Mary Nate, says Ghana needs a concrete plan to fight corruption. Speaking at the opening of a 2-day workshop in WA, she noted that her committee was collating views from across all 16 regions to deepen democracy and also ensure ownership of the National Action Plan. Here's a report by Rafiq Salam.
As part of the process of developing a National Action Plan, on business and human rights in order to implement the United Nations Guiding Principles on business and human rights in the country. A 2-day stakeholder workshop was held in Wa, bringing all key actors in the industry to make inputs in the NAP. The Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Shiraj, in collaboration with the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice, with support from ActionAid Ghana, engaged the stakeholders to deliberate and collect inputs into the NAP. Upper West Regional Director of Shiraj, Lawyer Obeid bin Siddiq, who spoke on behalf of the Director General of Shiraj, sets the ball rolling with the main objective of the workshop.
I think here it is give and take. They are going to feed you, but at the same time you also produce. The last one, the first two is for your consumption. That is to sensitize you on fundamental human rights, and then to present to you an overview of the TAP plan. But then you also give your input. I think for me, that is the focus of this program. We need your input into the plan.
Director in charge of human rights, Ashrak, and co-chairperson of the NAP Steering Committee, Mayor Ajele Nate, stated that a resilient NAP requires an inclusive approach for a sustainable implementation, hence the need to organize the workshop.
A resilient NAP requires inclusive approach for a sustainable implementation, and that is why we are here. As the steering committee in charge of developing the National Action Plan, we are engaging state actors and non-state actors across the 16 regions to solicit inputs into the development of the plan as a way to deepen democracy and to take cognizance of peculiarities that exist across the various regions to ensure ownership of the plan when completed for implementation.
Project Manager of ActionAid Ghana, Samuel Saboli, who spoke on behalf of his country director, noted the harrowing stories of victims whose rights have been violated.
On a daily basis, we hear or read about the harrowing stories of employees, consumers, and community members who fall victims of actions of businesses that violate their rights as human. These right abuse actions sometimes lead to environmental pollution, underpaying of workers, or forcefully evicting communities and depriving them of their livelihoods.
The participants were given opportunity to share and ask questions relating to the NAP.
And I want to link it to our senior citizens who have been struggling all the while to claim their rights. Are there bodies in our system who can also delve into the matter and give them some support? Because at a point, I believe some of them are defenseless, but they have no support. But they have a right. What will be your basic cases?
But over time, we all anticipate that there might be new areas where we have to accommodate other people that are not necessarily like us. So in terms of LGBTQ+, all of us know that we are obstinate against it, but we are also smart enough to appreciate that it is coming.
General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union of TUC and a member of the Steering Committee of NAP, Edward Caraway, and Director of Human Rights, Ashraf Mary Nate, in the end were impressed with the response of the participants.
Sometimes we sit somewhere and we think that human rights must be generic. Yes, it is. There are some generic human rights issues, but there are local human rights issues that pertain to, the environment and the place that they come from. So it is so insightful that we have had opportunity, to understand some of the challenges that workers within Upper West region are facing. And for me, beyond even the National Action Plan, is what I understand and what I can apply, as a union leader, to advocate either with companies, with government, to indeed enhance the respect for human rights of workers.
It's been very participatory. we've gotten to know that there are issues about even galamsey pollution of the environment, issues about land ownership, which is affecting people's livelihoods, among others.
A similar workshop was held for non-state actors, especially those in the business sector. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam.
Thank you for staying. That's how we cap off the news. Up next, the news review with Suleiman Abrahima, Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa. Do stay.